Hey guys, got a pre-made e-bike review for you. This one is the KBO Breeze. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go over this bike, tell you what I like about it, what I don't like about it. I'm gonna rate it on a scale from 1 to 10 on value, performance, quality, design, and I'm also gonna do ride quality, how it feels when you're riding. So if you're new to this channel, I'm Johnny Nerd Out. I build custom-made e-bikes. I take a regular bike and I convert them into an e-bike. It's kind of custom tailored to the rider. So if you're interested in going that route, definitely check out my other videos and maybe get some ideas for that. But if you're into something that you're like, you know what, I don't want to mess with building my own bike, I don't want to mess with that whole hassle, I want to buy something that's just ready to go right out of the gate, that's what we're here for this. This is for you. So yeah, this is the KBO Breeze. It's got an integrated, oh, that's cool. It's got an integrated rear rack here. You can see it's clamped onto the frame, so it is very secure. I would say that I would feel comfortable putting at least a 100-pound person on here, or 100 pound worth of weight. It is very heavy duty there. It's got a decently comfortable seat here. It's got an integrated battery here that is lockable and removable. It's the Rienchen Dorado style. It is a 48 volt 16 amp hour battery, so that's 768 watt hours. So that's a decent sized battery. Depending on how you're riding this thing, I'm guessing you're probably gonna get 40 miles range out of it. It's got integrated front headlights and a rear tail light. And actually this is also a brake light as well. So when you squeeze the brakes, that rear light blinks. Which is kind of cool. It's definitely a good added safety feature. Definitely like that feature. It's got a suspension front fork here with a lockout, which is really nice. It has mechanical disc brakes front and rear. They actually do feel really good though. It's got 27.5 by 2.4 inch Panaracer tires. So they're pretty thick and they're pretty big. So it definitely helps smooth out a lot of the ride, which is definitely nice. It's got a twist grip throttle here. It's just got a black and white KBO display. It does have an integrated bell into the left brake lever, and it's got a 7-speed Shimano gear shifter. It's the Altis derailleur down here. It does come with a little bash guard for your derailleur, which is nice. If you ever lay it down accidentally, it will protect it from, you know, small bashes. It does have a front and rear fender. They're full protection fenders, which is really nice. And it does come with a drink holder back here. And here is the controller that is mounted to the seat tube. It's a single speed up here, 7 in the rear. It's got a kickstand in the back, and it's got a 48 volt 500 watt rated rear hub motor. Okay, now that we got the overview out of the way, let's go do a Johnny Nerd Out performance test. Let's just get the performance test right out of the way. This is where I usually test my bikes with throttle only, if they're equipped with a throttle, just on throttle only, how they do on a hill climb with a rolling start and from a dead stop. And then I also test top speed. Because this one's a pedal assist, it's limited to 20 miles an hour only with this. I put it on the highest pedal assist level and I put it on the lowest gear here, and I just pedal to see how fast this thing will go. So let's go check out the Johnny Nerd Out performance test. Okay, so you can see from a rolling start, this went up the hill fine. From a dead stop, didn't stand a chance. I kept moving it back further and further to kind of see when it would have enough momentum to go. It never did after about 20 feet, just never had enough running space to get momentum to get up there. Finally, I had to stand on the pedals and get up, and it was barely. So you can see if you have steep hills, this hub motor is not for that. This is more for commuting on pavement. Yeah, pavement commuting. You know, moderate hills this will be fine on, but if you got super steep hills, hub motors just in general are not designed to handle super steep hills. So just keep that in mind for what you're needing. But if you don't need it for super steep hills, this bike is fine. This is great. 22 mile an hour top speed with just the pedals. So you can go faster, but you will have to add that human power to it. So just keep that in mind. I want to go over what I like about this bike and then what I don't like about this bike. Definitely what I like about this bike is it feels solid. I definitely like the way that it feels riding. These big tires definitely help quite a bit on it. It feels smooth. I feel like I could go over a lot of stuff. I like the integrated headlights and tail lights, and the brake lights are a really cool feature too, that it actually flashes when you hit the brakes. I like the fenders, front and rear. It's good protection. I like the rear rack. I like the little bash guard. I do like the little bell here as well. I do like the size of the battery. It's a decent sized battery, 16 amp hour at 48 volt. I mean, if you're riding this thing miserly, probably even 60 miles you might be able to get out of this. So that's a decent range for a $1,500 bike. Okay, let's go over what I don't like about this bike. I don't like the 500 watt hub motor. It's not going to give you a lot of power. For me personally, I like having that power, but I could live with that. I mean, if you're just using this as a commuter, or, you know, a light trail bike, like on campgrounds, not climbing hills off-road or anything, this bike would be fine. And that motor would be fine. I don't necessarily like the ergonomics on this one. I feel like I am stretched, my arms are stretched so far forward. I would have liked to see them right here, about a foot forward. I really feel like that would have been a much more comfortable ride. But as it is, I feel like it's very far forward. So what I would do is I would get a new stem and possibly a new handlebar and bring it in closer. Bring it in a good foot closer to you. The display, it's a very basic display. It looks like you can upgrade it. It just uses the standard 5-pin display port. So it looks like you can upgrade it. And if that is possible, I would definitely upgrade this display. It's a very basic display, but it does show you all the pertinent information like speed and all that stuff. So it's like, I'm getting nitpicky with the display, but it is a super basic display, especially compared to some other bikes that are out there. Okay, let's give it, I'm gonna give it my rating score. Let's give it how many bike wheels out of 10 it's going to get in the rating system. All right, let's start with design. The design isn't super crazy out of the box or like super innovative. It kind of looks like a lot of the other bikes. The only major thing that I really like is the blinking brake light. So that's really the only thing that's going to save it. It's nothing that's crazy bad. You know, they did a decent design with all this stuff. A lot of this stuff I've seen before, but it's nothing crazy design. I'll give it a 5 for design. Next, let's go to ride quality. This one is kind of hot and cold with this one. It feels very solid riding, so I definitely like it. And I definitely like the throttle on this. I forgot to mention, this is one of the things I like. This throttle is super responsive. If you just barely give it anything, the motor will just barely turn all the way through to the very end. So I definitely like that. It definitely adds to the ride feel. But the ergonomics of just being so stretched out of the gate, that does kind of bother me. I wouldn't want to, I would change that out as soon as I got this bike. I would bring the handlebars up to about here. And this is not adjustable, so you can't do that, but I would just get probably an adjustable stem for like 40 bucks, and that would probably help a lot. And possibly getting some like wraparound handlebars, that would help. But for ride quality, I'll give it a 6 for ride quality, only because it's going to lose some points for this. Other than that, this would get higher points if it wasn't for that far reach. Let's go with overall value. This is a really important one. So for 1,500 bucks, are you getting 1,500 bucks worth of bike out of this compared to like what other pre-made e-bikes are going for? Definitely with the 16 amp hour battery, like that's pretty big. I mean, that's huge. I like what you're getting here. So I'll give it an 8 for value. For the money. I think it's pretty good for what you're getting. You know, obviously you have to be in the mood for this type of commuter bike. If you're looking for a fat tire bike, don't be looking at this. Don't be comparing this to a fat tire bike. So you got to compare it for what it is. So for this, I'll give it an 8 for value for the money. Component and initial quality. So this is not riding it, but what I think of the quality of this bike as it is out of the box. Overall, the frame is very solid. I mean, you've probably seen this style frame before, so I'm guessing that they're buying the same frames from one of many manufacturers. But nothing on this is super cheap, so it's hard for me to knock it for quality. I'll give it an 8 for quality on this. I like how everything just feels pretty solid. Even like the fenders, they don't wobble and be all floppy. They are very nice. So I'll give it an 8 for that. And I'm not sure if I already did performance, but performance, I would give this probably a 4 for performance. It's not going to win any races. It's not going to climb any hills. It will get you from A to B, and if you're not looking for crazy speed, this bike will be fine for that. But if you're like, you know, I'm used to riding motorcycles, this might disappoint you. But if you're not into that, if you're just like, I just want something to just get out there and enjoy the nice days out, and I want to go ride on the bike paths, that's what this bike is for. You can put some pannier bags on this, make this a nice Sunday rider, or even like a A to B going to work commuter. So for performance, I give it a 4. Okay, so in summary, I do think that, you know, this bike at $1,500 is pretty competitive with a lot of the other bikes out there. This is definitely a commuter bike. Somebody that, you know, a hub motor is definitely going to be a little bit better for weatherproofing. If you're riding a lot of wet rain, it can be a little bit easier to maintain than a mid-drive, slightly. You're going to trade off with performance though, definitely. And if you ever need to change out your rear tire, you are going to have to disconnect the motor. This is a lot heavier. It is a lot harder to change flat tires on this. So if you ever get a hub motor bike, I definitely recommend putting tire liners, tire inserts in them, whatever you can do to prevent a flat. You don't want to be changing flats on a hub motor bike for sure. That's a major pain. But yeah, this is a really, it can be a really good bike for you if you're looking for something simple and solid. That's what I would call this bike, the simple solid bike. Yeah, so if you're interested in this bike, check out my affiliate link below. Usually I get some sort of discount for reviewing their bike. I don't get paid for these reviews, but I'm more than happy to review them and give you my unbiased thoughts on them to help you make a decision if this is a bike for you. Hopefully I answered some of your questions, and if not, feel free to ask some questions below and be happy to answer them for you. All right, thanks guys.